another impromptu live from the truck in the carpool line, talking about meta ads. Fourth quarter meta ads. Everyone and their mom is losing their minds over Andromedia, over Facebook's quote unquote algorithms. And meanwhile, we are holding steady, doing the same things that I keep telling you guys about. If you go back and look at my videos for a few years, we've been moving away from audiences because they haven't worked for a while. We are have been letting copy and creative do the targeting for a long time, and people are just losing their mind. Meanwhile, nothing's really changed. Every year something happens. Every time there's an update, somebody loses their mind. AI is coming to the picture, and everyone thinks that that's going to be the next, best and greatest things. People selling AI courses that, claim to be 20-year AI experts, even though it's just come out. And so when it comes to local businesses, hold steady, build your ads the same way I've been telling you guys to build them. If you're a member of the Locally Mastery Workshop, you can go ahead and follow that, because that's exactly how we build ads. Nothing has really changed from the workshop. We're starting to see more accounts trying to push for Advantage Plus audiences. From our test, we continue to see poor results for Advantage Plus, specifically in the local space. And so therefore, my stance has always been, and it will continue to be, one campaign, one ad set, one ad inside that campaign. You can then test multiple ad sets. Hey, what's up from Germany? You can test multiple ad sets. You can test multiple, multiple. The stream is about Facebook ads for home service businesses. It's mainly what the channel is about. So every now and again, I'll get on here, and it's just like an impromptu live for folks. Just to kind of hop on. Sometimes there's people on here, and it gets kind of interesting. Sometimes there isn't. I just kind of rant about different things. So bear with me, depending on where you're at. I may have like an additional 15 minutes or so. But yeah, local ads still remain the same. Biggest factor for success for local ads, local home service ads, is gonna be trust. Trust, getting your face on the ads, getting your crews pictures on the ads, family pictures, you in front of the work truck, in front of your jobs or whatnot. Copy, keep it very conversational, keep it very light, keep it very honest, and consumer focused. Don't I don't believe in like false scarcity. So if you're running an offer, um if you're running an offer that is a discount offer, make sure that it's a real discount offer. Who's interested in history? Looking for someone, some private, so nothing, something private. I don't know what you're looking for, you know. So I don't know what you're asking there, but yeah. So that's what's been working right now. That's what's gonna continue to work um, in the local space. Um, nothing, nothing exciting. Just results. We're still using high level dropped a whole bunch of like updates recently, and it's been crazy the amount of things that they have included in their suite of already piled up stuff that they're adding. Everything from a lot of AI agents to new flow builders inside of high level to new contact UI menus to everything. Just kind of know this, that I'm a big fan of not enabling and not jumping on every single update that these tools have initially, because in many cases it is going to break. They are not perfect. They release a lot of updates, a lot, really rapid, and oftentimes without testing, because that's their model. They operate off the skateboard model. So I typically don't jump on them and don't get excited. To me, they're just distraction, shiny objects until something actually works. Most of their stuff doesn't really work as well as most people think. It works in terms of the automations, the AI, that kind of stuff. It's getting better, but the new features, I don't anticipate using them anytime soon, just because they're just a distraction to everything. But you should definitely be using lead automation to generate to tie into your Facebook lead ads. If you're doing that, the Facebook lead ads have come a ridiculously long way. Now there's OTP that's being enabled, so you can get verified phone numbers, verified leads that are, even before they become a lead, they have to verify their phone number. Furthermore, there are other sections inside the form that are now becoming really useful for us, sort of like you can enable reviews inside the forms, and you can see, like, you can let people know like what reviews you've got. You can kind of build almost like mini websites inside of the lead forms now, where you can tell people like what different steps are. You can add media, you can add creative, you can add all kinds of stuff in there that makes it really cool. But the overall concept, the overall structure, the overall strategy for setting up lead ads for your home service companies, whether you're doing painting, plumbing, concrete, drywall, whatever, remains the same. You need to make sure that you can drive a ridiculous amount of trust with the ads. That means putting your face in the creative, making sure that your crews are featured in the creatives, your family's pictured in the creatives, along with, you know, jobs that you're doing, right? Like the quality of the work that you're doing. The copy still remains at the core, foundational, trust driven, with what you're actually selling, which is the outcome of the thing that you got. So it's not that you're selling a fence, you're selling what that fence does for somebody. So it provides the privacy, it gets the HOA off your back, it makes sure that your pets are, in a confined area, so on and so forth. That still is going to be the core and the foundation of everything. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm not worried about Android Media. I could care less. All of our stuff is local. It's performing the way it's supposed to be. Android Media, to me, if you read the fine print and you really dig into it, is less about doing a ton of ridiculous creatives. It's less about volume of creative and more about creatives that actually connect with people, creatives that are congruent with the offer, so that they can get in front of the right, consumers. Um, so anyhow, that's kind of what's been working. um, Fourth quarter, usually this is the quarter with a lot of cost per acquisition, a lot of CPCs, increase, that kind of stuff. um, have you tried running at YouTube ads? Yes, YouTube ads for home service businesses. Yeah, we've tried them. They work phenomenally well as well for home service businesses. The thing about YouTube ads is that you're using the same Google data you're using Google Ads and AdWords, but you're using it on YouTube, and oftentimes you can find in-market data inside of YouTube that you can't find from other sources. It actually works really well, and it grabs people's attention, because when you're watching a YouTube video, you typically don't see an ad that's in your local area. So one of the ways that we've created the YouTube ads is that we call people out. So, hey, if you are in Houston, we'll say, hey, listen up, Houston, area, this is what we've got, A, B, C, and D. This is who we are. Click here to go there. We put QR codes sometimes, depending if they're watching it on TV or not. So Sean says, can you make an in-depth video about how would local lead gen campaign work with new updates? Yeah, I was just describing that, actually. So I may create, what's up, Carlos? I'll create an in-depth video about local campaigns. But to answer your question, it's the exact same thing. Android Media, we're not worried about it. We're not concerned about it. Everyone else can lose their mind over it. But the reality is that we have been, if you look at the workshop that I give you guys, and if you look at the videos that I've got in the past, I go over this a lot. And even in the free videos that are on YouTube, we have been letting the copy and the creative do the targeting for a very long time now. So we're not worried about any of that. Android Media is less about pumping out a ton of creatives and more about creatives that actually connect with people. So we have ads that literally have one creative in it, and they've been running forever. We just launched campaigns this past week with one campaign, one ad set, one ad, and they start to generate leads and they're working just fine. So it's less about the volume of creative and more about creatives that actually have intent behind it. Um, yeah, how I set things up in my course is exactly how I set things up for my clients. Um, it's exactly how I set everything up, and how I show folks, to set things up. So we're not worried about that. The other thing I mentioned, with this whole AI stuff is that um, while people are creaming their jeans about this AI thing, sometimes it's not really the best option for a lot of folks. Um, the market analysis says I have a communication coaching business only for engineers in Canada. Our CPO is around 30. We have a low budget of $10 per day. We get only about 2 leads per day. Do you have some advice for us? So it's simple math, right? If you're spending $10 per day and your cost per lead is $30, every 3 days or so, you're going to get 1 lead. If you want more, then you have to increase your, you have to increase your budget to do that. So if you want 2 times as many leads and you're spending 20 bucks a day, 10 bucks a day, spend 20 a day. All right. One thing that I'm going to tell you is, um, be mindful of this trap. Okay. A lot of people are concerned with the cost of a lead for $30 versus the profitability. You should be looking at profitability no matter what. Okay. So if your cost per lead is $30, you're getting roughly 2 leads per week because you're spending $10 a day, ridiculously low, right? And you're like, man, I want to get double the leads. Well, guess what? Spend double. So instead of $10 a day, spend 20 bucks a day. And now you're going to get, instead of 3 leads a week, you're going to get 6 leads a week. But what you ultimately should need to be looking at is profitability. You're getting 2 leads a week. That means that you're receiving 2, 4, 6, 8 weeks every month, right? Out of those 8 leads, if you close, let's say 1, and that value is, I don't know, say $3,000, you are wildly profitable. And all you need to do is focus on getting more leads so that you can close 2 instead of 1, 3 instead of 2, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's kind of what I look at that, right? Volume of leads and cheap leads aren't necessarily, the best. Sometimes we have to look at, we're looking for a fair lead that's going to be of quality, right? So I'd rather take a lead that's a little bit higher cost but better quality than one that's cheaper and lower quality. Okay, what kind of angles and ads do you run for hardscapers? Okay, so for hardscaping, it's just like everything else, right? When a consumer is looking for these kind of services, they're looking for fair. They're not looking for gimmicks. Okay, and if you're throwing AI images and all this other stuff, then they really can't see the quality of your work, and it's really easy for people to see that that stuff's fake, that it's not real. So if it's fake and it's not real, then already there's an element of distrust because they can't see what's going on. So my recommendation for hardscaping is just be straight up with people. Just go out there, take a selfie, make sure your project's in the back, make sure you're in front of a company truck, make sure you have cell phone pictures that are coming from your phone of projects that you've done before and after. Maybe it's you talking, saying, hey, this is what we've done. And then in the ad copy, just let people know, like, hey, if you're looking for hardscaping and you're looking for design, maybe we can help you. My name is such and such, and we provide these kind of services. And we love to throw our name in the hat if you're at the stage where you're looking for, quotes or estimates, or maybe you just want an idea of what things cost, etc. And that's the approach that you need to take. Okay, that is going to be a much more well received approach, and somebody's going to say, well, okay, I kind of trust this guy. He makes me feel like I'm comfortable. He's local. He seems like he's honest, which is what we're looking for, as opposed to some gimmick that promises them the world that they know that they're not going to get, right? So how often am I testing ads? So that's a question that requires a little bit more, depth, right? So when people say how often I'm testing ads, they're usually referring to like creatives, right? So when we first launch campaigns, we're launching 2 ads, maybe 3 ads, at the most. And then we're seeing what works and we're killing what doesn't work, and we are scaling what works. My ads get lead and then stop out of nowhere. It's not out of nowhere. Okay, it's never out of nowhere. You have to look at the data that you're buying from Facebook. That's ultimately what you're doing when you're paying for leads. You're buying data. So you have to look at the data, and if your ads are stopping, you need to look and see, okay, what is the indicator and when are your ads stopping? Sometimes we look at the data and we say, okay, my ads have been working fine for 30 days, and then all of a sudden they die. Well, not all of a sudden. Find out exactly what happened. Is it your CTR that went low? And if so, was it creative? Or was it copy? The data is going to tell you exactly what people are no longer connecting with, right? And so when somebody's no longer connecting with something, then the data tells you what it is, and you go back and you change that one thing that people are not connecting with. So we've had campaigns, for example, that are doing very well, and then we start to see the lead, the leads drop, and then the cost per lead increase a lot, and then all of a sudden, and sorry, I'm in the carpool line, and then all of a sudden the lead cost rises up. And so then we look at this thing week by week and we say, okay, what happened here? Well, we noticed that the creative that was working before at about 6-7% all of a sudden started to take a dip, and then it became 3%, and then it became 1%, and then we realized, okay, it's the creative right now that's not performing, so we need to change the creative, test it with new creative, but keep the same copy. The reverse has happened as well, where we look at the numbers and we say, oh, the copy seems to be off a little bit, so for some reason it's not connecting anymore. And then we look at the data a little bit and we notice that this week or this month or next month or whatever, Facebook has decided for whatever reason to put our ads in front of people who are maybe on the younger side, and we know that our audience is 50 plus, and so therefore we want to adjust the age or the demographic of what our audience is. So oftentimes you got to dig a little bit deeper to do that, because otherwise, if you don't look at the data and you're not making data driven decisions, you are throwing spaghetti at the wall, and the next time something doesn't work, you're going to throw more spaghetti on it, and you're never going to know exactly what works. So yeah, cost per lead rises, but there has to be a reason for the cost per lead to rise. Either people are no longer connecting with the creative, either people are no longer connecting with the copy, or it's not good enough. Okay, maybe the audience has shifted somewhere, maybe there's an issue with your landing page. So there's a lot of variations, a lot of factors to that, but what you have to do is identify what that is. So if you have an ad, and the ad's job is to drive the click, and it's just driving the click to your landing page, okay, and people are just not converting, then you have an issue at the landing page. The landing page is the mechanism. If your ad is not, in fact, not driving the click, right, the ad is not driving the click, then you have an issue with the ad, and then you have to identify whether it's copy or imagery or both, right? But if the ad is doing its job, it's sending the click over to the landing page, and if from that point on, once they leave and they go to the landing page, they're not converting into leads, you have a landing page issue, and you need to find out what it is and what's causing them not to opt in or become a lead. It could be landing page speed, it could be maybe it doesn't look good on mobile, it could be a factor of things, but that tells you where to start, more or less. I don't do any drop shipping, I don't do any e-commerce. That requires a completely separate strategy, completely separate ad strategy, complete separate metrics, complete everything, right? That's it. When it comes to drop shipping and e-commerce, then you're dealing with Android media stuff and all these other things that are completely separate. So pretty much everything that we're talking about here is local home service type businesses, which marketing and I've said this before, marketing a home service business, a local brick and mortar business, is a complete different shift in strategy and mindset and psychology than marketing for e-commerce or drop shipping. This is why sometimes I see guys that come into this space and say, oh, we used to manage $8 million a year in e-commerce and drop shipping, but for the last 3 months I can't even get my plumber client to really even get leads. What's going on? I've applied everything that I know. That's because it's completely different. It's a completely different game. So anywho, started a little late here, but carpool marketing, and my ride is here. Right, Lily?
Yeah.
So I gotta hop off. Maybe I'll do another live. If you guys have any questions at all, if you guys want to hook up and connect with me or whatnot, follow me on IG. It's Armando Saenz HQ. So you can always like reach out there. I always post content and stuff there as well. I don't go live except for on like you know, on YouTube, because this is like my main channel. Or you can just kind of leave your comment or whatever in the videos or in one of the lives that I do, or the shorts or whatnot, and I'll be more than happy to answer those things. So talk to y'all later.